Missing.
Yeah, that's true. We don't, well, no, we
Oh,
have.
two made
have
it.
a
There's two
quorum.
missing. Laura's up in the corner.
Yeah. You fixing her hair? Hi, Laura.
Mhm.
Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Keith Ritchie. I'm the chairman of the Parking Commission. We're going to begin this meeting of the Parking Commission of New Canaan. With me and composing the quorum is Pam Crum and also Laura Budd. So that gives us 3 of our 5 and gives us a quorum and allows us to do business. So the first order of business is the parking violation appeals. And the way we do this is informal. And we deal with the folks who are here right first and who arrive first. So Suzanne, I think, arrived before Natalia. And I see, Suzanne, that you have, it looks like 2 tickets.
No,
So-
one.
One? Okay, just a long
Yep.
explanation.
Yep.
My apologies. All right, Suzanne. So if you wouldn't mind telling us what happened.
So first of all, I work for Houlihan Lawrence, a real estate company in Darien. And I was going to the New Canaan office and I had a couple of meetings there at lunchtime. So the first time I went, I parked at the back of the parking lot and I went to go pay and it had a notice up on where you go to pay to say that you don't have to pay. It was free. There was a big notice up. So I was like, okay, great. So I did my meeting, came back and everything was fine. Then 2 weeks later, I went back for another meeting about work and I put it in the same spot and I left the car there and I saw there was a notice on the parking meter thing. And then I went back to my car and there was a ticket. I got a parking ticket that I had parked in a no permit space. And I didn't see anywhere where it said that. And I kind of just, in my head, I thought like it was the week before, I didn't have to pay for it because there was a notice up on the parking thing that you pay. So I felt it was a little unfair and I was only gone half an hour.
Okay, Suzanne, so you're saying you parked behind Town Hall? Right.
It was on the corner where Houlihan Lawrence is. It's on the corner of, I can't remember the road. But the parking lot is round the back of Houlihan.
She parked, if I might
In
interrupt.
the Park
excuse-
Street lot? Yeah. Go
She
ahead.
parked in the Park Street lot along the grassy area where it's for town hall employees.
Right.
Okay. And it's marked for Town Hall employees, right?
Correct.
Well, it's public because you normally pay because I've done it before. I pay to park there.
Well, none of those spaces have numbers on them, so those spaces you can't pay for. And there is signs along there that indicate that it is for town hall employees.
I didn't see that. I mean, it was so busy in there. I parked my car like I did the week before and it was just misleading because I wanted to pay for it. And I went over to the machine again and it had a note saying, no, you didn't have to pay. So I didn't see the sign that said I didn't have to, that it was permit parking only.
If anyone wants to look, the image is 275 on what I sent you.
Okay, give us 1 second.
Sure.
Suzanne, you have a gray Nissan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the picture and you're parked right next to the sign that says town permit parking.
Right. Well, okay. I didn't see the sign. And I'd parked there the week before as well and didn't get a ticket.
Could you have parked further over possibly?
No. Mm-mm. parked in the same spot. It was busy. I didn't, Okay, it was just misleading. That it was a little misleading, I thought, because it had that note on the thing. So you didn't pay. I don't know.
Well, where had the note, wasn't that on the parking machine that was
Yes.
over to the right and like a right
Yeah.
turn and to go down toward Elm Street? That's quite a ways away from where you park. I mean, it's.
No, it wasn't. It was a few, I parked the car, got out the car, and the machine was to the right.
Right,
and it
it's to
had
the
a note
right,
on
you
the
go down and then
machine.
you go through the back part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a note, so it was misleading then. I just felt it was misleading.
And again, what's the number of the photo? Is it
It
65?
ends up at 965.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see the sign.
It's pretty clear.
Oh, Peter, welcome. What time did you arrive?
About
Minute ago?
7:29.
Well, we began the meeting at 7:30 and you weren't there.
Yes, I was.
He was just coming on. He didn't have his audio up yet.
Oh,
He
okay,
showed up.
excellent. So that adds to the quorum. All right, so Suzanne, is there anything else you want to say?
No, not really. Just,
Do we have Keith, do we have a quorum with three of us?
There's actually four. Laura's here too.
If she's not showing up on my screen?
Well, she was on earlier and
Sure.
yeah, she's still here.
I'm here, Peter.
Yeah,
My
yes.
video's
and
on.
by the way, we have a quorum with three.
All right.
So, any questions for Suzanne?
No.
No? Okay. Suzanne, so our protocol is we go through the rest of the appeals. Then later, but we don't vote on them. We circle back and vote on them later. Okay, so you're welcome to stay. It's a public meeting. But you will be told how it works out, by the mail, or you can check it electronically.
all right. Okay, so I'll get mailed. I'll
Yeah.
get a letter. All right, I'll wait for that. I have to go because I've got to be with my son.
Thank you for coming.
All right, thanks.
Okay, great. So let's go back to our agenda. I think, unless I missed somebody else, Natalia
Natalia, yeah,
was the next.
yes.
And that's 032. Where's the photo about?
I will tell you just a second. That would be,
957.
957?
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah, let me get the image. I think it's image number, oh, excuse me.
Not here.
It's a blue Prius.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not-
Give us-
Yes, okay, it's image number
It's
273.
32,
yeah,
right?
32.
Yeah, image number 273, and the ticket it ends
Right.
in 11032.
Okay, so Natalia, do you want to see the image?
Yeah, I don't really need it because I parked to pick up my, it was, yes, the whole parking was taken and I just parked for 1 minute. I never left my car to pick up. My son was coming from, you see him on the picture. He's coming with coffee. I just stopped for 1 minute. I never left my car to pick him up and not to create traffic. And we left. And the lady was writing the ticket. And I said, it's literally was less than a minute and we're leaving right away. And she said, nope, you can appeal. And that's my story.
Okay. Just in case you have this situation in the future, when you see a parking area like that with the lines through it,
I
you're not
know.
supposed to park there at all, anytime, for any length of time.
But for just so he
No.
can jump in the car.
No,
You might have been better even to double park, and then put your blinkers on and then wait a minute. But
But my blinkers were on and I swear it
But
was
no,
less than a minute.
the-
He's in a red
area
hoodie
that-
coming out and we all work, sometimes you between meetings, you just run to, because you need to pick
we
kids up.
understand all that. You realize the lines in this area and that this is a prohibited parking area is a state law. We don't even have control over it.
Yeah, but you know, it just understanding matter, I think, because it's not like I left even for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It was literally, I never even shut off my car.
Natalia, the rule is that you can't even stop in there. The state law is you can't stop, even if your engine's running, you can't stop there. And that is the state law. That's not our law, that's the state law.
All right, any questions for Natalia?
Where was her son coming from?
Yeah, he grabbed coffee.
And how did he get there?
What do you mean how he was coming from somewhere and he called me to pick him up?
So you didn't bring him to Starbucks,
No, it's not Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah,
Dunkin' Donuts?
no.
Okay. Well, thank you, Natalia. I don't think there's any questions. So again, you're welcome to stay. It's a public meeting, or you can sign off and you'll get the results, you know, either electronically if you choose or via mail.
So do you have other candidates, or you will decide now?
No.
We have a lot of other business. I'll go back to our agenda.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
We have one more person, Vicar Vohara,
Is he here?
Vahora, I guess it is. He's down at the bottom.
Well, your bottom is
there.
different than my bottom. I see
Okay.
Vicar.
See it?
Okay, Vicar Vahora, yes. Vicar,
Hi,
are you
good
there?
evening, guys. How are you?
We're good. All right, I see what ticket you are. Do you know, Stacy, what,
It's the last one, 276, and the ticket number ends in 934. Image number 276.
let me summon that up.
So one with Town Hall to the right.
276.
It's that end space right before, like right by the driveway.
276.
Should be the
Look at
last,
934.
yeah, or 93, yep.
934.
Right.
Nine three four. Okay, got it. Let me show.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see what I did. I know what I'm doing, yep.
Okay, there it is. All right, so Vicar, would you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so I was actually a new Uber driver in New Canaan trying to deliver food to the New Canaan community. And that was probably my first or second ride. And I went right across the street where Chang's table is, and I was charging on my credit card. And I actually attached a receipt to my ticket and appeal too, that it was only 2 minutes that I went in, went out, and when I was coming out, she already writing a ticket. I explained the person there that, you know, I'm an Uber driver, I'm new in this area. You know, if you can, you know, please let me go for this time, and I'll make sure that this not be happening again. And basically, she told me to appeal it. And then, you know, I work every day, and making $30 is going to be making. I work for 3 hours in order to make $30, and you know, this is something that I can't afford right now, as I have lost my full-time job, and I'm working for Uber since that day, and trying to make a living. So my appeal was to see if we can you know, let the ticket go for this time, and I'm trying to make sure every time I park, either look for a parking spot or go to a parking lot and park my car, and of course I can walk with the food and deliver the food.
Okay, Vicar, can I ask a question? Just looking at the photo,
Mhm.
it looks like there's an empty parking spot in front of you.
Yeah, so it was full. It was completely full. I went 2 times actually. I went around Main Street first 2 times, and I couldn't find a parking, and my time was up to pick up the food. So I parked, and my car was just the trunk part was just out. Everything else, the car was parked correctly. The other two cars were not parked correctly, and that's the reason why I couldn't completely park my car. And then when I came out, of course, the two cars were gone, and then my car was the only one there stuck there. So
Vicar, from the way I'm looking at it, you are actually parked in a no parking area. Because there is a yellow hatched area that you are parked right on top of. Much like the lady before us.
yeah, I thought that I parked almost halfway in and halfway out, but
How long were you, do you think you were parked there?
yeah. So I like I said, I attached the receipt. I charged on the credit card that I was using it for Uber actually, and I had the receipt. It was 156, and I got the ticket at 158. There was 2 minutes difference.
So in those 2 minutes, you're saying that that empty parking spot in front of you,
Well, I wouldn't say it's 2 minutes because 2 minutes was that between I got the receipt and went out. So I would say maybe less than 5 minutes. The empty spot was empty. Yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy like that I'm gonna leave a spot like that empty and park it where it shouldn't be parked. So, you know, and like I said, I went 2 times to Forest around it, and I couldn't find the parking. And finally, I had to park really quick and go get the food for the customer.
well, it looks like had you waited just 3 minutes or so, you could have had a legal.
I would have got it. I would have got it. Yes, but it was just bad timing, I guess, and I got the ticket.
Stacy, the driveway is behind him, correct?
Right, like the entrance to the driveway is right near where his trunk
Where his
is.
rear bumper is?
Correct.
Okay, so this area is clearly marked off with yellow striping.
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions for Vicar? All right, Vicar, thank you. We'll let you know how it turns out again, or you can stay for this Zoom call. It's a public meeting. And you'll hear from us about the results.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, well, let's get back to our agenda. Oh, sorry, well, I did go to the draft minutes, so let's polish these off while we're here. Did anybody have any proposed changes to the draft minutes from our meeting on September the 10th? Hearing none, I move that we accept the minutes as is. All in favor? Can you raise your hand? Okay, I see Tucker's.
Laura,
I'm trying to, yeah. Okay, good. Pam, Peter, you okay?
I was, yeah.
Okay, sorry, but I not everybody's face shows up. All right, so we have approved these, so I'll stop sharing that. And I'll even close that document. Okay. And now let's get back to our agenda. Let's take a moment in case someone calls in later to on the parking appeals, and let's start just if we can touching on. Oh, we can't touch on the old matters because Chris isn't on yet. He says he's going to get on later. Let's talk about the permit renewal. Well, actually, maybe it's a little early for that too. Do we know if Jim and Margaret Wetzel were planning to get on the call? They were the ones from Health Fair.
I did not hear from them.
Okay. So they may not have the Zoom. So, all right. But we will, when we talk about the overall parking situation, we can come in on that. Well, I can report at least on this item that's bulleted here. I got information from P&Z, Lynn Brooks, Avni, the town planner, the senior enforcement officer, that there are no recent parking fee in lieu payments for any pending projects. The last fee in lieu payment was for 42 Forest Street, a project which was approved on January the 30th, 2018. So it's been 2.5 years. Okay. Fine. Do we have, I see Tucker's still got her icon up there. Is Kevin on? Or is he off?
It's just not there.
I'm
Okay.
here.
There he is.
Oh, Kevin. So there's a couple items that while you're here would be useful. One thing was the findings of the parking consultant.
Kevin, you want to talk to that?
Diane, so, yeah, so we had a call with the parking consultant who we did not bring back to do additional count studying of patterns because we felt that things were not really normal. He basically said that actually, I think it was the first meeting when he said that based upon their research, it looked like their parking system was working. But then he also said this is a time to experiment. But the bottom line with having consulted with the parking consultant is that we can't figure out a way to make the Park Street and Morse Court and Playhouse lots free for shoppers and restaurant goers. Because it's kind of a tough thing to do to make enforcement work when you have permit people in the same lot and stuff. So we're sort of giving up on the idea of the free parking.
Okay. And you said you're not having them back as long as we're having the COVID crisis and.
Yeah, nothing's really normal. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
when they were in to study patterns in August, you know, you see that people are finding parking, but it's not a normal world.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I was hoping we'd get Chris back. Let's see if there's anything else
There
I
he
can
is.
do.
He's here.
I'm sorry.
This is on.
Hi, Chris. Did you just arrive?
I had a work call that with Australia that popped up. Sorry. Back.
Okay, then let's circle back up to the top then. Chris and Laura, you were going to do some work on costing out and finding appropriate space for additional electric vehicle charging stations?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, so we continue to move forward on this and kind of there are a couple of different angles to this. So I think we have consensus amongst a lot of parties that having charging stations will drive more business to the town, increase its profile with regard to credits and drive more commerce to the town. So I think we're all in consensus there. And then, so the ask, just to bring everyone up to speed, was, okay, how do we approach that? And what Kevin's asked for is a plan as to New Canaan's approach to EV charging that's more holistic. And so what Laura and I have done is kind of look at it from a municipal perspective, a commercial perspective, and an education perspective, Parks and Rec, and look at where EV chargers would fit into in those 4 different areas. And on the commercial aspect, we made some significant progress in identifying 3 different commercial places where EV chargers would suit. And Laura, we had a constructive meeting on that front. And so the idea is that we're going to meet with the CPAC, is that right?
TDAC.
TDAC, all right.
What we've asked to be put on the next TDAC agenda to present to the Tourism and Economic Development Commission and get their thoughts about, adding additional EV chargers as another feature of the town. to attract, EV drivers and make them feel confident that, when they get here, what's the word? Charging anxiety or
Range anxiety.
range anxiety. Thank you. That we have a couple other spots. So we want to get their thoughts on that. And we've been working with Tiger. There's a little money in the budget, but we want to come up with a concrete plan. There may be someone who could actually pay for the charger itself. We're working on that angle, and we've identified at least one private lot, and which would be secondary. Ideally, would be in another municipal lot. So we're kind of chugging along.
Okay, Laura, can I ask, you mentioned CDAC and the last C
TDAC.
for commission. So what does that stand for?
Tourism and Economic Development Commission.
Okay.
And this sort of backs into like what we were trying to also do is make sure that we weren't duplicating work in other areas, because this kind of feeds into the planning and long range, the plan of conservation and development. So that is beginning to take shape, because I guess another one is due in, I think, 2 years. So, planning ahead as far as what the town's readiness level is for change is part of that. So that has everything to do with, okay, where the charge is going to be. Is that going to be a function of zoning, whereby if, there's another condo built in town, is it mandated that, they have X spots dedicated to EVs, et cetera? So it's kind of just trying to look at those different pieces.
Okay.
Chris, have you talked to Walter Stewart's or Acme? Whole Foods in Darien has been very active on this, and their charging stations seem to be actively utilized whenever I go by. Is there any interest by those groups?
We have not approached them. I think, maybe we would find who the landlord is for Acme. That's a much bigger parking lot. I don't think Stewart's, would want to give up a spot for that. I can't speak for them. Maybe they would, but we have not approached them. I think our first kind of rung of business is to, come up with a position on why we want them. Chris has got some great research that he's tapped into, and get some feedback. And then what our ultimate goal is to go to the Board of Selectmen and ask for the funds that I think are in the budget somewhere.
But why not look for private funds in the meantime?
We're doing both. We're doing both. So, the 3 locations, would be, well, I don't want to get into it because that we haven't really communicated with all of them.
Not right, yeah. You mentioned, I think the commercial, educational was the last one. What was your second category? Of, you said they were like
municipal.
Municipal, okay.
Because if one of the Tiger sent us around, planning ahead for the next 10 years, and they were talking about fleet management. And so the idea is that, how many vehicles in a given town's fleets are EV and how many of them are gas, and like what the strategy is, what's the town strategy around, adopting a cheaper model there, because I guess Westport has 3 EVs now in their police department, and their cost of maintenance is significantly lower than the gas powered. So,
yeah. So do you want to have anything in the minutes on that, or I'll just leave that as a category?
No, I don't want to.
Okay. And what about educational? Is that ripe to be included, or do we just want to list it as a category?
Just a category.
Okay. And again, you'll have a shot at the final minutes. All right, then. I think that about covers this item, unless there's something else you Chris and Laura want to tell us.
No, I think that's good. We'll just keep you updated.
Okay. So the next item is potentially a big one. So this is permit renewal applications. At our last meeting, the commission voted 5-0 to recommend that the date for commencing renewals be extended to January 1st, 2021 for both commuter and commercial parking permits. And there was general consensus to charge a prorated amount based on the number of months remaining in the 2021 year. And so under this rubric, and you'll see it actually kind of overlaps with some of the things under new matters, I think we want to talk about, do we want, I guess I'll say what's on my mind. Regarding commuter parking, those lots are empty. And if we start charging people for permits now, if they pay, it will be basically to keep their spot on the wait list. It's not really to use the spot because no one's using the spots now. For the commercial ones, that's a different story. And certainly when it comes to the metered, and I mean, the coin, metered spots in Morse Court in particular, I think the way we've left it is we would start charging in 2021. There's a question, what do we do about the permits that we have, some business permits that we've done in the Morse Court lot and in the Park Street lot. And then we have some business permits in the center lot and in the locust lot. And so I think we need to kind of come up with recommendations for the Board of Selectmen. And I have some ideas about that. So I'll keep talking, but if someone gets excited and wants to interrupt me, that's fine. So what I would say is we do not reinstitute, we put off commencing renewals for commuters until the end of the fiscal year. I would say do that also for normal commercial parking permits. I would actually start charging for the special commercial parking permits, the ones that allow people to park in Morse and Park, if they want to pay, but hear me out. I would start charging again for all the metered spots. And I would offer a special permit for people that work in the town, in the center of town, that would be free, but they could only park in the center lot and in the locust lot, the two least desirable lots. And the idea there is if someone is like a realtor and they think it's worthwhile for them to pay extra to park in Morse Court lot or the Park Street lot, okay, we'll let them. But they could get a free permit to park in the center lot and the locust lot. And all the people making minimum wage, working on Main and Elm, they can get a free permit to park in the center and the locust lots. But, and they will be incented to do so because now we will be charging for parking in the metered lots. We will be, forcing them to comply with the 2-hour rule on Main and Elm. And so I think this is a time, as Kevin said, that we should experiment. And I would propose experimenting along those lines. So let's hear some discussion.
I totally agree with that, Keith, because what we have seen is when we're offering free parking, unlimited in the lots, the employees naturally are gravitating there and they're starting to take away spots from paying customers. The Morse Court lot specifically is many days, and Stacy, I think your team has seen this, by 10 o'clock, it's full and there's no circulation. Earlier than that. And, our whole goal is always to allow for circulation. So I would totally agree with that, we're going to have to start charging there, but we're offering a free alternative. They're just going to have to walk. Yep.
Yeah, a block in either direction, a block to the locust lot and a block to the center lot. Again, as we always say, if you were in New York City and you got a parking spot that close to where you worked, you would be delighted, right? And here we'd be, and all we're saying is They just have to fill in a permit application, say, my name is Joe Blow. I'm working at Soleil in the kitchen, and here it is, and here's my license plate number. That's all you need to do, right, Stacy? That's
That's
really
it.
all you need to ask.
Just give me your information, just like they would if they had to pay, but it would be at no cost.
Yeah. What do you
That
think?
idea, Keith. From my perspective, I mean, I think I brought that up. I brought some, the concept of the secondary and tertiary lots. I love the idea of creating an incentive to get folks in the locust and the center lots.
Yeah, some of the background is Kevin's work with the consultant, where we can't go all the way to free parking because we need to have a disincentive for people to fill up these Morse court and fill up, these lots. So, but we do have a little room to have some free parking, for these people and to get them off of Main Street, get them off of Elm. So, yeah, I think a lot of us shared this idea. I think even Peter, you had once suggested something like it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Peter and I had even suggested metering on Main and Elm, just for the record, because that is the number one.
Yeah, well, that's the ultimate disincentive, right?
That
We
is,
suggest that every year.
we do,
Well,
which is what, just for the record, what every professional has recommended that's ever evaluated the town.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, okay.
The town is a little slow, however, Chris.
Well,
I know.
there are other issues. Pam, you were raising your hand very
Yeah.
politely.
Just a couple of things. One is, do we want, well, three things actually. If we do this, do we want to consider as to, do we have the appropriate number of permits, paid permits for Morse or Park? Or do we need to change that to possibly even a smaller number to make room for people who are paying? Second is, we've had a problem in the past that people don't want to walk that extra block, especially come winter time, whatever. And what can be done to incentivize people to, other than it being free parking? Can the chamber really get the owners of the businesses to tell their people they have to park elsewhere? What can be done outside of the parking commission in regards to that? And third is, I think that if we try this, which I think is an interesting concept, that we really should try to keep it, that it experiment ends at the beginning of the new fiscal year or the end of this fiscal year, so that we stay on track with the permits.
Yeah, so let me just start with your last one, which I think is a great point. Anything we've been proposing now, I think just takes us from January 1st to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
And then we have to, make a decision again.
Right.
And then we will have, hopefully we'll have some experience and some learning from these roughly 6 months. So I think that kind of goes without saying, because it's generally, we don't like to do anything that goes beyond the fiscal year.
And we'll have to actually start making an evaluation prior to that, because Stacy would have to send out permit things earlier.
So yeah, it would be more like April or May, but I mean,
Right.
we could do it. What you had a point in there about you're worried that we've given too many of these special.
I'm just saying we have to evaluate
Town
whether we
permit.
have enough, right?
Yeah,
Proper number.
I mean, I tend to think once you get the people, I tend to think once you present to those people, okay, you can have a free spot and say they want parking in Morse court. You can have a free spot in center, or you can pay this. It's not inexpensive. I should pull the number up, but it's like $450
Right.
to have the spot in Morse court where you won't get a ticket. I think only the real serious folks will pay that price. And I honestly think that's something that we need to offer them, because for them, it's worth it. And otherwise they're either going to get tickets or they're paying for the meters.
Yeah.
The reason we came up with that and the reason it was a success is there's kind of a crying need for that. I don't think that's causing the shortage problem in Morse court.
I wasn't contending that. I was just saying that if we make a move like this, we might want to look at what the permit numbers are as a percentage of the total availability there.
Well, I would say, again, as I said before, that we would still do that program. But again, it's just for the fiscal year. If we find out that it's causing a problem, then we can terminate it or cut it back.
Right.
But I would not change that one, because to me, that was kind of an unalloyed success. right? That was a big
You
hit.
will have, the people that have the permits in those lots will stay in those lots.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't believe that they will give them up to even for a free permit.
right. So we get the
Not-
revenue, but we also
majority.
satisfy a need. You know, the realtors and some of those people really need that sort of access. So I would continue that program. But for the regular commercial permits, for like the folks that have been parking in the Locust lot, you know, I'm not certain we're ready to charge them yet, but I'm open for discussion.
But you're also
Keith,
trying
as
to
a-
get people.
Keith, as a practical matter, the realtors aren't going to their office at all these days. The real estate offices are totally empty of people. There is no one there. And when you go there, you have to sign in. So I
Well, so
don't see
maybe they won't
any,
sign up for them.
I think it's a fake issue with realtors. I can't speak to the others, but I can speak to realtors, and they're not going to the office.
That's probably fair. But I mean, again, if people don't want the permit, because we're talking about these expensive permits, if they don't want them, then fine. You know,
Yeah.
So getting back to the one, and I also realized there was one other point, the problem with getting people to move, but also oh shoot, I just lost it.
we can come back.
Yeah, let me come back to it. The people not wanting to walk. We'll go to that one. I'll come back to the other one.
Well, again, they're
I
getting
had
something.
an idea on that.
Go ahead.
So I think, you know, this might require just some good old fashioned PR to a certain degree, where, you know, I think the chamber's done a good job of this from a communication perspective in the past, highlighting, I think more, so, you know, we alert people that, hey, we're going to ramp up enforcement on Main and Elm for the 2-hour limit. You know, we've been doing it pretty much already, but we're going to institute parking charges on Morrison Park. And remind me, what is the daily, if you park there for 8 hours, what are you paying? I know there's some lots up at Park, but they're
$5.
$5,
Dollar.
$5, $6, right?
What, okay, are you talking Morrison Park?
Yeah, Morrison Park.
They can pay for a 3-hour max. It's $1 an hour right now.
Okay, so say $9 just for sake of argument if they're working an 8-hour shift. So they're paying
Correct.
$9 a day. And so we basically highlight, all right, you can move your car around every 2 hours. You can get a ticket for, you know, the ticket fee for overcharge. You're going to pay $9 per day in Morris Court and Park. And that $9 is obviously, you know, $90 per 10 days, $270 per month. You can buy the permit for $250 per month, or you can park in Center and Locust for $0. And so I think that sort of illustration of, you know, whatever the 2-hour fine is, I'm sorry, it's been a while. So the 2-hour fine is $35, is that right?
$30.
25. 25.
45. So there's a
25.
2-hour
25.
25. Okay, so your $25 ticket, $9 per day, i.e., you know, $270 a month, $250, and then you have $0, and then maybe even point out the walk time from, you know, from Center and Locust, and say, all right, if you want to walk 0, it's going to cost you this, and just do a quick little concentric circle and say, you know, enforcement's going to happen, whatever, December 1st, and so that would be one communication. The other thing I was thinking about for these minimum wage earners, how do I put this delicate? I don't know if they'd want to offer up all their information, whether it be, you know, maybe they're switching cars, maybe they're borrowing a friend's car to get into town. Is the only way that we can have them supply permits is doing the LPR, or can we have them do like a hand permit that's on their dashboard, like the old school one that, you know, we had in the lots
Right,
3 years ago?
lumberyard lot. So forth.
The LPR is the way that,
Yeah.
the best way to do it right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I
Put as
just
many
asked,
as 4 cars on there, right? If they had,
Right. They can put a number of
Excuse me?
cars. And
Yeah,
then
they
there's
can
no
put
cost, you know?
4. Yeah, up to 4.
And then also, if someone gets one of those, if it was a piece of paper, you put it on some other car, someone who isn't really working in town, has made
Yeah,
no,
but it's an empty lot anyways. Do we care? But yeah, no, you're right. It's easier to abuse, but
yeah.
um,
But it's also free by using this technology. I mean, it's not labor free, but it's costless.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you're not having to print out permits, you're not having to change. We used to have license plate numbers on those written permits. Every time someone would change a plate, they had to come into the office to get an updated permit. It's much more streamlined.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I'm not I huge advocate of the technology. I was just thinking of the particular audience that we're targeting here, that there might be some hesitation. So
I appreciate that, Chris. I think some of them may ride the train as well, so we may not have to worry so much about them. But I think if anybody did have that particular situation, maybe they could talk to Stacy and we could somehow accommodate them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Keith,
So
the other point, I just wanted to support your idea of also starting to charge for the lots. Because we don't have any funds coming in. I don't know how we are fiscally, Kevin, as far as the town goes, but at least that would, by starting to charge for park and for Morris, we'd at least have some income coming in, especially because we learned we have nothing in park and lieu. The fee struck, with that, we're kind of dipping into our parking fund and so forth. So it probably is time to start charging for the Morris Court and for Park Street.
Yeah.
Keith, we're talking about the center school lot in part. I mean, it's half of your proposal. My question is, how does the library play into this?
Well, right now, again, we're only talking about the 6 months from January 1st to the middle of next year. So
I
I don't
thought
think-
you were talking all the way through to October.
Now it's from January 1st to 2021 through basically, June
30th.
2021.
June 30th.
June 30th.
June 30th. And I don't think the library will have anything underway at that point. So, I guess my sense is let's cross that bridge when we get to it. I think we have kind of general consensus here. So I'm tempted to seize the moment and make my motion. And let's kind of break this down. So one motion would be to not resume charging for commuter permits until the beginning of the next fiscal year. Now, we don't have to decide that. We could say March 30th or at least not in January. But my sense is rather than do halfway measures, take it out to the end of June, because I have a hard time seeing that we're going to be back to normal commuting before then. But it is a fiscal issue. So if I just look at commuter permits, Kevin, do you have a view?
Yeah, well, Darien, I think, has already said that they're not going to start charging until March. I think we ought to really see how the next 4 months go and decide whether people are maybe commuting for the last quarter of the year or the second quarter of 21. So,
okay, so we can
well,
just
we're
say,
getting killed with our revenues, obviously, on commuter fees, permits especially. So,
And Stacy, aren't other towns already charging for their permits for the year?
They were renewing as scheduled. Now Darien works on a calendar year, so technically they're putting off their next fiscal year for 3 months, just because their permits start January 1st for the full year and expire December 31st. But it was my understanding that the surrounding towns, when I did the survey, were sending out their renewals and renewing the way they normally do.
but
I guess Darien changed.
I would say New Canaan is always distinguishable from those, is that they're on the main line. We're not on the main line. Many of those parking facilities are actually state land, where the state's getting the money, not the town. So to be, so let's just say with our little parking area, I mean, we don't need to make a decision other than maybe to recommend to say we wouldn't start charging until until the very earliest April, for example, April 1st, which will give us until our meeting in January and our meetings in March, if we don't have a special meeting, to decide about a recommendation, further recommendation. Does that sound good? Just, will we put that off until at least April 1st?
Sounds reasonable.
Well, I will share, if you don't mind, just one thing. Usually, under normal circumstances, we stop selling permits in April of the current fiscal year to start renewing because the renewals have to go out in May for the next fiscal year. So thinking about possibly charging for this current fiscal year for the 2 months left overlaps then renewals to go out for the next fiscal year.
But Stacy,
Just,
you could also, just.
Yeah.
We decide March, people go back, we could renew for 15 months or 12 plus 3.
that is absolutely, yep. So
We just-
yes, if we do it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the
Perfect.
decision, it'll be clear by January or February where things stand, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
So do we just
That sounds
postpone it
good.
until March
yeah.
instead of January 1? Just,
Well, I'd say we say we wouldn't charge until April the 1st at the earliest.
Earliest.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor? Okay, great. So let's talk about, there's 2 versions of commercial. Maybe 3 now that I think about it. One was the normal commercial to park in the locust lot, to park some in the telephone lot, and to park in the center lot. And I'd be saying, we just postpone any renewal of those until the beginning of the next fiscal year. So that's one kind of commercial. The other kind of commercial was the special permits for people who want to pay. And by the way, what they're paying for, like those Morris Court spots, I'm going to share my screen for just a moment because it's a good memory jogger. You're looking at the Excel schedule that shows the rates. And so Morris Court, which we started, is $438. And with tax, $465. So, we're just going to say, if you want to buy those permits, God bless you, you can buy those permits. I would say the same price. And that's what I would say for those permits. And then again, we offer free permits to anyone working in the downtown area, including investment bankers and realtors, any lawyers, anybody else, for free if they park in Center and Locust. So obviously, anybody who's been paying to park in Center and Locust will take the free ones, right? So we're definitely giving up that little piece of revenue. But hopefully, we're also going to attract a lot of people that are making, the minimum wage people that work on Main and L. So that's my proposal for the 3 commercial permits. Do we have
and that also should include that we're charging for those lots for dailies.
well, okay, if we're gonna, yes, and okay, then we'll call, and for the metered lots, we resume charging pronto. Well, resume charging January 1st, because that's when we said we would.
That would include Locust then without a permit.
Yeah. That's right, wherever we have permits,
And
I mean,
center.
wherever we have meters
And center.
and
Keith,
center.
He's
Keith,
like-
wouldn't the telephone permit be on the same line as the Morse Court and the Park Street permit? Wouldn't
Yes,
that be
it would.
considered a premium permit?
No,
At least I
We
think
have-
that would be considered a premium permit.
no, what I'm calling the premium permit was the special ones, again, going back to our chart, were to park in Morse Court. Really, those are the ones, and I guess Park Street.
But I think Stacy's point is we though in past, we have paid for that lot. We've leased it. You have, Kevin, I think you made an arrangement that they just get their taxes reduced, that we can use it. However, it's still costing the town one way or the other for us to use that lot. So by charging for those permits, then we are still recouping the cost that either we're losing through taxes or that we would have paid out.
Okay, so I think what you're saying, Pam, is you would charge basically for the Park Street and the Morris Court and the telephone lot permits.
Right.
Telephone was always considered a premium permit before we implemented Morse Court and Park Street, because that was always one of the closest lots to the town.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, basically, we're saying we would charge for for those commercial permits,
Yes,
really for all of them.
except
That's
Center Locust.
Keith, I think you misspoke though. You want to prorate it for half the year,
Yeah.
starting January.
Right, yeah, not this whole amount.
Right.
So the only one that the only change here would be right now, or at least we had been thinking we were going to charge for the Locust and the Center lot. Those would now be zero,
Correct.
Right.
right? What we charge for the other permits.
Right.
Stacy, how many people pay the 429 in the Locust lot?
We have 98 permits out.
Wow, so that's,
Yeah, some real money. So do I have a second, again, for the commercial to charge for the regular permits, except for the Locust and Center lot, in which we
Well, I
would
I have
provide
an
free?
idea there. So I just on, because I witnessed Kevin's hesitation on the Locust revenue. So if we have people, 80 odd people paying, $500, give or take, for the Locust Street lot, that's, $40,000 of revenue. And I think what we're saying is that we'd like to keep that revenue, but at the same time, we'd like to provide cheap parking for workers. So this gets into price discrimination, using a business school term, but you could, going the paper book hard copy model, you could go ahead and say, if you can, based on your wage or based on your stature in the town as a dishwasher, you could apply for a free permit if you all of that. So you could
I don't
go
wanna
that
go
way
down that route.
if you want to keep the 40,000, but still give the free parking to.
What I thought you were
basically-
saying, Chris, is charge like 200 for Locust.
actually, that was my thought. Obviously, there's a demand there. It's primarily from the people who work in those office buildings and stuff. So that why ignore the demand and charge them at least $250? Why give it away entirely to people that are willing to pay?
Otherwise,
so
we're going back to
just
the
push-
Boston Center being the key.
Yeah,
one.
push the free permit to only center.
Only Center, which quite honestly, most of the people are walking from Elm Street. And even if you're coming from Change Table, I mean, Center for free is an attractive
Yeah,
feature.
I agree with you.
What if we designated the free spots in Locust all the way over in the back? I don't know if that's help, if that's some incentive. So the spots closest to Locust Avenue could be the premium permits, and then the ones all the way in the back could be the free spots, and then kind of filling up the middle could be for shoppers, who are going to pay in the lot with
Yeah.
the numbered spots.
Laura, that's something I was going to suggest. To the extent you have the Park Street and the Morse Court permit people paying, that perhaps you could have a road that says permit parking only, and that's where they're supposed to park, away from the shopping spots, which are, in and out.
I have a question. Are we gonna have a volume problem that if this actually is successful, that people will take the free spots, that there won't be enough spots for them, that they're gonna have to park in the daily, in which case we're gonna be ticketing them?
I don't see how that would occur.
No, I mean, we could throttle if we end up selling too many permit or giving away 2,000 permits, Pam. I think we can stop giving them away. Like we could.
Well, I was thinking also, we always sell more permits than we have spaces.
Right.
And it's sometimes 2 times, sometimes it's 3 times.
Yeah.
And therefore, we have to, they're going to have to come up with a balance of how many you can actually do and still have paid spots in there as well, paying spots for a daily basis.
We have this funny situation. We're talking about not charging for commuter spots. We've already voted on that. So if someone really wants a free spot, right, they can just drive over and park in the lumberyard or park in Richmond Hill, right?
Exactly.
So to me, I'm just not that worried we're gonna have shortages.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go back to that chart because I started, and I hope you can see this over here, which let's see if I make it yellow and do the print. So I was trying to make that so we could see these numbers in here. And it's kind of a strange world, again, we're talking about, right? So we're charging 0 for the commuter spots.
Mhm.
The same price, again, this is before proration. The same price for Park, Morse, and the telephone lot. Someone said 200 for Locust, but again, that's before proration. So then are we talking about like 100 for the 6 months, or was it 200 for the 6 months? Just a bit of clarity. And then 0 for center. So just this is what we're talking about. Right?
Yes, Keith. Yeah, I agree with you.
Just to remind people, Stacy, how many permits in the center lot do we have at 150 now?
229,
229. So the demand was there. And the
but
demand-
but I will tell you that a lot of people, not the majority, but a lot of people who even have center school permits do not park in center school.
And that 229 wasn't, many of the businesses had part-time people, they work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, have one, someone else works Tuesday, Thursday and have one. So they're not there 5 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin, if your point is that we're giving away some revenue, yeah, we're giving away some revenue. And, there's no other way to slice it. We're trying to have an incentive and a disincentive to get employees off of Main and Elm. And remember, you were thinking about going all the way to free parking altogether.
No, I was the premise of free parking was that workers would pay because we wanted to make them park in certain areas.
You can't do that though.
That we end up, we couldn't figure out how to make it work without strict enforcement.
That's the problem. You can't figure out who's a worker.
Can I jump in with one? First of all, I remember back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago, when Laura and I did survey all of the employees just about the whole environment and what they needed. We came out of there with some insights, but the one thing that we learned hard and fast was that the only way we were going to get employees off of Elm and Main was to give them free parking. That was the first thing. I also know that we get a lot of requests from businesses who say, what can the town do to help our business? We can't reduce taxes. We can't do things like that, but we can help them by giving their employees a place to park that is obviously free, is better than anything. And what that also says to the businesses is we're also making spaces available for your shoppers who are working in your stores. So it's a double win in my opinion. You're giving them space for their employees to park, and you're freeing up the spaces for the business, for the shoppers and the restaurant goers.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if a revenue is an issue and the premium spots are in Park and Morse Court, what if we raised that up just a hair, the cost of those? And we're also talking just for 6 months because it's an experiment. And
Raise what up?
we're prorating it anyway.
Raise what up?
The ones for Park and Morse.
See, I guess
think
I'm
they've
not.
already been raised. I mean, when we first started this, what were they?
They weren't raised.
They've been raised. Remember, now they're getting the sales tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, last year was just the sales tax. We didn't raise the fee. It was just the sales tax, I think.
Yeah, but they didn't really feel the bite of the, I mean,
Right.
I guess in this environment, I'd be a little hesitant about,
I was just thinking for revenue that, to make up some of the revenue that we're losing otherwise, they may say, fine, I'll pay, and you're not talking that much over a 6-month period of time for an increase, if you maybe raise it $20 or even, whatever per.
well,
Or
my
$12.
recommendation was just to keep the rates the same.
Okay.
I didn't have the nuance about, for the locust lot, about charging a discounted rate. But
Yeah,
we
and my concern wasn't so much the revenue as so much as try to give people what they want. Obviously, I think there's demand there for people in that area who are not minimum wage workers. I mean, if they're willing to pay $4.28 right now for locust, there's a demand, there's certain demand for that, 98 people.
Yeah,
But, so why not facilitate where they want to park, but not entirely for free? Because then,
yeah, but if you're gonna charge them say 200, I don't see how then you have it for free for other people working in downtown. In other words, I think you got to say this lot is free if you get one of these permits, but you can't have someone, he's working on the second floor, he's got some office job, so he's paying $4.29, and you got somebody working on the ground floor in retail, and you're saying he gets a free permit for the same lot and potentially the same spot in the same lot.
well, because I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the people who park in Locust are working over in that part of town. They're not walking, they're not walking from Elm and Park Street.
Sure, I totally agree.
So you have a lot of workers, from Forest, and a lot of workers from on Main that start on East Avenue and work their way down towards Locust on Main that utilize that lot or should be utilizing that lot and won't because they won't buy a permit in there.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the people working in the restaurant, say on Forest, they are not paying the $4.29.
No.
That's not happening.
So are they paying by the hour?
They're
Some
moving
of them,
down.
some of them, yes, they're paying by the hour, and some of them are moving their car from Forest to Locust to Main. They're doing the circle.
Yeah, I mean, these are the trade-offs. You're giving up revenue. I mean,
Well, actually, for that matter, as an experiment, since we're only talking about 6 months, and then we'll take a look at it again in March. See how it works for January, February, March.
so you're okay to charge zero?
Like reluctantly.
Okay, so
Is there,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question just for our investigatory situation. Stacy, on these work ones, you'd have where they're working on those forms, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so we have at least information. Is there any other information we might need to evaluate as to whether this is achieving what you want to achieve?
No,
You know, like position or is there anything else you need information wise on that form?
I don't think you would need the position. You would just need the business name, the business address, and a business telephone number, and just the person's name.
You might want to know if they
Who's-
work part-time though, full-time, whatever, wouldn't you? Because that helps to establish how much they're using it.
Yeah, we can ask them. I don't know if that's a necessity if they're buying a permit. But usually the majority of people who are buying permits are not working part-time. I can tell you that.
These are free permits. We're not talking.
Oh,
charging for
are you talking about the current permit holders in Lucas, or are you
No.
talking about
I
forward?
think we took a pass, from what I understand, on charging for Locust All for the 6 months. So then what we're looking at is what is the profile of the people that would be getting the free permits in there, so we can identify what the use is.
Then we could add a couple
How
of things
long,
to the
whatever.
application. Sure, to do a better survey.
Yeah.
we could do that, yes. Okay, I misunderstood the question.
It's okay. Probably didn't.
No, I'm sorry.
This is an experiment. We see how it goes in these 6 months. See if it really does work to get people off of Main and M. We'll see if there's the usage in the center lot and in the locust lot. And if we find that it really is not getting people out to center, but locust is getting utilized by all the people that used to pay the 429, but then we slap the 429, back on again.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, or something. But I'll make my motion again. Do I have a motion to, for commercial permits, to charge for all the permits, the regular prices, except for locust and center? We would resume charging for metered spots January 1st. And all this, by the way, all this is January 1st. And we would have free parking permits for people working in the downtown area for them to park in locust and center. Do I have a second?
And this only goes through June 30th.
June 30th. I have a second from Laura. All in favor? Please raise your hand. All right, I have 5-0. That's a good recommendation. Okay. So let's get back to our agenda. I think that was all we needed for this item. By the way, what we're talking about when we say charging, we're talking about a prorated amount for those permits, and we're talking about tax will be charged, just for clarification. We've already covered, I think, that the owners of the health fair, they were complaining that the Morse Court parking lot was getting full so that their customers weren't finding a place to park. I think we will have solved that problem beginning January the 1st. Pam and Chris, we're going to report on the police commission meeting in which the crosswalk bump out, no parking zone barricade was discussed.
Yeah, Pam, do you want to, I can do it or you can do it, up to you.
Sorry, had an emergency with my daughter. As far as the meeting, yeah, they agreed that we do have an issue. There was much discussion as to what should be done. We talked about how cones don't work. There was talk about the putting the planters back in, but there was concern that the planters might be too tall for young people, for drivers to see the young people, even though we've had them before. But the decision, if I remember correctly, was to use the water barriers like we're using right now on the street. There was talk about decorating them, putting flower pots on them or whatever. I believe they first were talking about moving the ones because on the mid-November, they leave because all the outdoor dining stops, in which case they were just going to move over into the spots by the Bank of America, those to block off. However, they thought they might have some extra ones, in which case they could do it earlier. Is that correct, Chris? Is that what your recollection is? And I know Tucker was there too.
Yeah, that's give or take what we talked about.
Okay.
And I think Paul Foley agreed that this was an issue. And, we had that picture of the Ferrari across the crosswalk, which everyone seems to like. And I think the long-term strategy is that, well, a couple things. Tiger mentioned that it's a pain to do snow removal if there's a barrier there. So, which I fully understand, because I think the idea is that the plows push the snow into those quadrants. So I think the long-term solution is to get a removable bollard,
right,
like you might see in Europe, where, it's in Amsterdam, they call them Amsterdammers because you walk into them and they're right about crotch level. The idea is that you can unscrew them and then remove them during the winter.
Then you put a plug in the hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I don't see.
So they're still playing with the idea of also doing the bump out, but they haven't decided yet.
Well, I understand all the bump outs are going away November the 12th, right?
No, they're talking.
Curb bump outs, like they're actually hardscaping it. So like putting in a cement curb instead of having just the grid lines.
Right.
Hmm.
But we
Okay.
talked about the bollards and saying maybe this would be a better way to go because then you wouldn't have that obstruction.
Okay. Were there any actions for us to take?
No,
Okay.
No, I think the only action I would say is that Paul agreed to consult with us on a long-term solution, but in the short term, Paul said, you know, John DeFederico, can you work with Tiger to get something out in the short term? And
Sounds good.
so-
Okay, I have this item on here, status update on Talmadge Hill, paving, shelter, lights, etc. Lot number 4, boxcar number 3. I think, Peter, you would raise this.
Yeah,
I did not get an update. I don't know, Chris, if you have an update on any of this. And if
Well,
you don't, we can ask,
I mean, I
Kevin.
could, a couple of things. I mean, we put the additional shelters up there. I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, that we talked about.
So that happened. And then I'm not sure if everyone else is aware of this, but when the state was repaving Talmadge Hill Road, Tiger identified a favorable contract with that paving company while they had the equipment on premise to pave the lower two of the upper tiers. So the tier that's
Yeah.
even with the track and the one above it. So that happened, which is good because those two lots were pretty bad. And last I saw it, it hadn't been striped, but that may have happened since then. And then the last thing was there was an initiative or an approval, I thought, for a sidewalk, a new sidewalk down to 106. But I haven't heard about that. Seems to be pretty well tied up, like the sidewalk up Richmond Hill. That seems to be pretty backed up. I imagine that Kevin has an opinion on that or an update, but I don't have any more information.
All right, so Kevin just sat here.
No, so the Richmond Hill one is funded with a state grant, and we'll go forward, but there's no funding for the 106 extension.
Okay.
All right.
and what about lighting for Talmadge Hill?
I recall talking to Tiger about that, but there's no plans. I don't know a lot about that, Peter. But I mean, there's no plans for lighting.
Additional lighting.
Additional lighting, yes.
And just to, Peter, you're specifically talking about lot and pathway lighting, right? Not platform lighting.
Yeah,
The platform lighting actually was updated 18 months ago or so. They moved to LEDs so that the platform itself is very well lit. But when you go up to the last tier in particular is pretty dark and uninviting. So that could probably use some extra lights.
We could probably add some lighting off the telephone poles there. But the striping has been done, Chris.
It has, okay.
And we are going to put sidewalks up, this new sidewalks. Up
Okay,
on-
that's great.
So that that might give an opportunity to add lighting with the sidewalks going in.
Is that happen? So the extension down to 106 isn't funded, but the actual sidewalk from the station up to those tiers is.
Well, I'm sorry, when you were talking 106, were you talking down at Talmadge Hill?
Yeah. that's-
yes.
Or up where you live and on?
Oh no, I was talking down at Talmadge Hill.
Oh, I'm sorry. The funding state grant for the 106 up to Talmadge Hill is being received.
It is, okay, that's what I meant.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I think we may have completed this item. We want to talk about boxcar up there at all? I think probably a lot of that's been made moot by the COVID crisis. So I would move on. Stacy, you brought up this one, the wait list renewal letters, which asks for a $10 fee if people want to remain on the wait list. Normally the letters would be sent out in September and due back by the end of the year. Well, it's been going on, these renewals were overlooked. When should the wait list renewal letters be sent? Well, it seems to me if we're going to be sending letters telling people that for the commercial lots that the permits are going to start up again on January the 1st. And we'll be making, and we might as well notify people that have the commuter lots that they will get a freebie at least until April 1st. So.
Normally we do it, so the letters will go out normally September, and it covers people January for the calendar year, January if they want to remain on it.
Yeah.
So do we want to move forward with sending them out, like just the people who are on the wait list and want to remain on it, even, and maybe include in the letter that we're revisiting the issue of the commuter permits in April to see where we move forward, but this just to keep it consistently if they want to remain on the wait list, or do we want to just bypass this year? And
You know what, I would say let's do it, and let's use that same mailing to include providing information about what's going on January 1st.
okay.
To me, it's just not too much to ask people to pay $10 to be on those lists. And it keeps the kind of, the people who aren't really serious about being on the wait list off the wait list. It still serves its purpose, and you still have time to get it out and ask people to return it by the end of the year.
Right, and we can even go because of the situation, because we're doing it goes from January to the end of the year, we can even let it go a little bit into January.
Right. Yeah.
Time we get it, as long as people are sending it in to stay on the wait list.
Yeah, so I move that we continue that. I don't know if we even need a motion because it was kind of our standard practice, but I'll make a motion that we continue the standard practice. Do I have a second? I don't see.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Hands up. Hang on, let me see. Laura, I presume you voted yes. Okay, good. All right. So we've already covered we're going to now do, I think, the dates for the 2021 meetings. We've covered the findings of the parking consultant. I think, in fact, we may have just covered these other three, but let's talk about the dates for the 2021 meetings. If I pull up a calendar, I can get my calendar open here. I'll share that. So we'll have a calendar available. So if we're talking about this, you see what my life's all about here.
Mhm.
Okay, so the first Thursday is the 7th of January. And well, so I guess generally I would propose, at least if we're going to vote on anything now, that we vote on the alternate month schedule that we've currently been on. So again, I'd have the first date be January the 7th.
Right.
Okay, if we go to look at March the 4th, that ring any bells for people? Okay, assuming that's okay. April, May. So it would be May the 6th. Is that okay? I'm assuming it's okay unless someone says something. June, July. So July is often what trips us up. This one's not so bad, July the 8th. I may have a problem with that if my son's around because that's his birthday. If he's back in Seattle, it's not a problem. But I guess, want to leave it on July 8th?
Let's
For
leave
now?
it July 8th. Today is my husband's birthday and I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. July 1st is actually the first Thursday.
Let's do July 8th.
Wait a minute. Why
Yeah,
not
but that's a weekend. That's a long weekend. If we're at a point where people can get away.
All right, you're right, July 8th, we'll leave it July 8th. So then September the 2nd. Now that's again before the Labor Day weekend. But on the other hand, so what? Well, I guess we do have to get the minutes out.
Yeah, September the 9th.
Yeah, you're the 9th?
Yeah, 9th, 9/9. And what was the May date?
Well, May was the 6th.
6th, thank you.
And
No,
then, Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, with everything changing and, we're really living in a month by month thing, why don't we meet once a month? I mean, I think there's so much up in the air. I'd rather have shorter meetings, to be honest. And it just seems like there's, we're now doing a 6-month experiment in the middle of this. It just makes it harder to react to things if we have to wait.
I'm actually game for that. One of the reasons we went to every other month, we just didn't have enough business to make it interesting,
Yeah.
but maybe now we
Well,
do.
you can always have a special meeting. If we need to meet more often, you can always throw one in the middle.
But yeah, because if you have a meeting, then we have to go through this whole protocol of doing announcements and everything else. So, but I would be game. What do you think, Chris? And what do you think, Peter?
I'm hesitant about it. I think the more meetings, the more talk, the more wasted time. So I favor every other month. I mean, we've spent an hour and a half tonight.
Yeah, I would prefer to start with every other month and have special meetings as topics require it.
Okay, well, I think that's 3 in favor of continuing with the every other month. So I
In
think
November.
we're not getting off the ground on that one, but again, we can have special meetings.
Right.
So the next one after
Fourth.
September was,
November 4th.
yeah, is that okay, November 4th?
Yep.
So the dates were January 7th, March 4th, May 6th, July 8th, September 9th, and November the 4th.
Correct.
Chairman, can I ask a question on just protocol in terms of, because as far as progress that may happen between the 2 months. So for example, say Laura and I put together a map for the EV plan that we're working with Tiger on, that we submit to Kevin for his review. I'd be interested in sharing it with this team, but it in my mind wouldn't necessitate a meeting. But I know with the freedom of information requirements that we have as a group, can you just clarify what can be shared?
Well, first let me say, under the Freedom of Information Act, as I understand it, and Pam, you also looked at this, even if we just send something out to all the members, that's kind of potentially noticeable. It's subject to the Freedom of Information Act.
However, if there are no responses, that's the caveat.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're thinking of special meetings, we can call a special meeting very quickly.
The problem is that you're of 2 different parties, and that complicates things.
Well, not if we have a real special meeting, and again, it's just via Zoom, which is just like having a phone call.
Yeah.
We could call a special Zoom meeting and have one, quickly. And particularly if it's like, you want to have us to take an hour to cover something on EV or whatever, I think we could do that anytime with very little notice.
Okay.
But we have to do, we'll have to do an agenda. We have to do the minutes and all that stuff, But, that isn't a heavy responsibility.
Well, yeah, no. So I'm completely fine with that idea of just having the minutes, et cetera. I just to Peter's point, I wouldn't want to put another meeting every month on the occasion that we might have something. As long as everyone's game to kind of jump into a special meeting occasionally.
Can I make a motion that the schedule that we'll publish for next year be the 6 dates, January 7th, March 4th, May 6th, July 8th, September 9th, and November the 4th. Do I have a second? I have a second. Now, all in favor? I see. Okay, good. I think, Chris, you said okay, right?
Yeah, I'm good. So I was typing the dates into my calendar.
Okay, well, I'll send it around. All right, so now we are back to our agenda. And we've done the findings. Parking for employees of the town's businesses. I think we've covered that. Town hall employee parking. Well, I think this was the idea, I don't know if Kevin's still around, of telling them to park not behind Town Hall. Kevin, are you still there?
I'm here.
What would the item on Town Hall employee parking? I think you talked about redirecting Town Hall employees to park someplace else, or was I confused?
No, as you know, part of the concern about Park Street and Morse Court is that with free parking, one way to solve it is to move the town hall employees over to Locust, and we're proposing to move 27 employees over to Locust. That would free up the Park Street further for the holidays. And then as your experiment works or doesn't work with the free parking for the other employees, that we would perhaps make some adjustments. But right now, town hall employees are taking up some premium spots up at the Park Street lot.
Well, that would certainly be a great thing for the merchants in town to have that parking freed up.
Right.
And that originally was the plan, that the employees were going to move over to Locust
Anyway,
when they're, yeah.
it may not be the most popular thing to do, but on the other hand, I think, residents shopping for or looking for parking and they see signs that say town hall employees only, is not the best optics.
Yeah, I agree, Kevin. Because I think, aren't we also using the Vine Cottage and a Red Cross building parking lots too for?
Yes, and that may not be permanent, but on the other hand, we do have a problem in Morse Court and Park Street that I observe, and especially coming into the holidays.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to free up spaces.
I mean, you could certainly, if you could just do that, for the month of December at least.
So anyway, we're working on that.
Okay. Okay, understood. Update on online permit renewals. Stacy, you want to tell us about that?
Well, basically, we looked into strictly going to an email blast when we go to renewals and having people just be able to renew online. It is absolutely a possibility. It can be done. But now with everything that was discussed tonight, it will get postponed and revisited when we revisit when the commuter permits will go out. The business permits for this 6-month trial period, since there's not going to be so many permits that have to be renewed at a prorated cost, it will be done manually as far as the applications will go out. We're talking about 72, about 90 of them. So because right now it hasn't been decided on whether the town possibly would absorb the convenience fee, that's still in discussion. We're going to just send out manually the applications, and if people want to renew online, they're more than welcome to. If not, they can come in with a check, and we're going to do it like we have in the past. But it is it is possible to do it strictly through email and online. So we did find that out.
Yeah, and with COVID, I would think a lot more people would want to avail themselves of that.
Yes.
Okay, well, the one thing we
That's
have
the
to
same
bring up
process.
before we adjourn is the parking violations. So let's circle back to them. Kevin, if you want to drop off, you're welcome. If you want to stay, you're welcome.
Hello, I'm
For you too. So we had, I'm going to share my screen here. Here's our list of appeals. Of course, we had Suzanne. We have to first go through the ones who appeared. And we had Suzanne Sanchez, and well, she rather confessed to clearly parking where she shouldn't have been, but she said she was confused because it was free for a while and then wasn't.
She didn't get ticketed the time before when she parked there. She looked out.
Yeah. So all in favor? Well, let me stop sharing here for a second. Unless there's some more communication, let's raise hand. All in favor of upholding this ticket? Chris? You're muted, Chris.
He wasn't there.
I joined late. given to our Keith. I was just going to
In
abstain.
here. Okay, you're right. You're right. So that's 4-0. Okay. And then we had Natalia. Again, there really wasn't much of an argument there, and she was parked in a spot that created a dangerous situation. And and you know, so all in favor of holding that one? Okay. And then Vicar, who had the least bad appeal, but still where he was parked and he just waited 3 more minutes, he would have had a legal parking spot. It's hard to
Yeah.
feel that- hard to feel
Also, I
that-
find that a lot of the Uber and Grubhub guys are parking on the driveway itself. They come in to town hall, they turn around, and then they face out towards Ching Stable and park right before that stop sign.
Yes, and unfortunately, when we do see them, they will get ticketed if we can't move them. If no one's, we try to move them first, but if nobody's in the car, we will ticket.
Whenever I'm in that area, at night anyway, they're always there.
Yeah,
Anyway.
unless we're gonna have a special rule to that Uber drivers or, the other variety of these type of drivers get a free pass, I think we have to enforce the rules.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just saying that the 2 parking places are one where Vicar parked and 2 is in the driveway.
Right,
Yeah,
And it seems to me they're both bad.
right.
yeah,
Makes it very hard to turn out of there.
yeah. Well, so all in favor of upholding that ticket? Okay. And now let's look at these other tickets. I will now share the screen again. I didn't see anything that really aroused my interest. Did anybody else see anything in the appeals here that, made one think that there was something worthy of a discussion?
Obviously, I feel for the business owner, Mr. Lee, that I believe, is he in the gallery where Sorel used to be? Stacy, is that where that is?
No, I believe he's a little further down towards 64 Main is towards, more towards
Firehouse.
the firehouse.
Okay, all right.
Let's pull him up. Let's, do we have his written appeal?
Yep.
No, we do.
The one thing I will add, and again, it is understandable, but I did ask the officer who ticketed, because I also, when I looked at the appeal myself, wanted to know a little bit more about it. And according to the officer, she did not ticket the vehicle initially, okay, because she thought, again, it's a private vehicle, it wasn't a commercial vehicle or anything like that. But she drove past it 3 times. So she drove past it,
Okay,
did a round, came back again, did another pass to go down a different round, and came back a 3rd time. And during the 3 times she passed the vehicle, she did not see any movement of
okay, all
anybody
right. No,
moving
that's
in or out
right.
of the car. Now, yes, the trunk was open. We have a picture of it with the trunk open, but there was no, normally when people are unloading, you see them coming in and out. And
And you also told me that's often the case, that people will do that they'll leave their trunk open or their hazards on and then just run in and get food or something
like
like
a
that.
coffee. or
Yeah, but
something,
I mean,
seeing
it is
that.
a loading zone and he's doing loading
He's
and, it
not-
takes time.
Right, and
Towards
that's
it.
why initially, they were not ticketed initially. Normally, we ask business owners, especially if they're using private vehicles, because again, we don't know if it's somebody just popping in to get a coffee or pick up something that they're not, it's made for commercial vehicles. So, but we do know that there are some businesses that use their private vehicles. So we always ask them to leave a note on their dashboard if they're loading and unloading. And the majority of people do. so we
Yeah, but
didn't know.
I mean, he didn't have a note, but he had his hazard lights on. He's got his trunk open. He's got a business there.
And again,
it's-
we don't know that. And so
You
that's
know,
why.
the lights are on, you know the trunk is open
Yeah, but we don't.
and it's 10 in the morning.
But
I mean,
again, it's not a commercial vehicle. And we have seen people just leave their trunk open and run into the store. So again, this is,
No, but
I'm not
he's made the
disputing
appeal.
it.
I'm not complaining that he got the ticket, but when we're considering his appeal,
Right, I'm
he's
just giving you
unloading in a loading
facts.
zone. You know,
That
so
it wasn't
what's the
just,
problem? Why don't we grant the appeal?
Stacy, what kind of business does he run?
I don't know. It's at 64 Main. He did not say that in his appeal, so I'm not sure what business that is.
For the loading zones, do we specify it's a commercial vehicle loading zone, or do we just say it's a loading zone?
Well, in the statutes, I believe it says commercial vehicles, if I'm correct. So loading zones have always been for commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
Okay.
Also, it's interesting looking at the photo, there isn't a whole lot of space in there for boxes. He's got something already in the trunk.
Yeah, but I mean, this is also, by the way, on a Saturday, right? It says October the 2nd. October the 2nd at 10 in the morning.
Let's see.
I
I'm
mean,
looking myself. And again, like I said, I'm just giving you the facts. We did not know, we didn't see any, the officer did not see any movement, so she couldn't find out who was doing what. So when she passed by 3 times and there was nobody at the vehicle and it was just there in a loading zone with the trunk open, they were ticketed.
And it's a
And
Friday.
that's why
Yeah.
they were told to appeal.
Yeah, it's a Friday.
Stacy, what do we estimate
Yes.
each rotation takes? How much time from the beginning to the end of all this?
I can't tell you because I don't know the route she took. So I couldn't give you that time period. Could be five minutes, depending if she has to stop and give another ticket someplace, then coming back another 5 minutes, and then another, 5 minutes by the time she came back the 3rd time. And it's only a guess, again, depending on if she had to stop or.
Is there a time limit in a loading zone?
Usually it's about 20 minutes.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, he writes here, I have a business on 64 Main, in my SUV in the loading zone with trunk open and hazard lights on. I went to my store to get boxes for it looks like 2 minutes. It might
2
be
minutes.
2 minutes.
Minutes.
And had a ticket. I thought it was a loading zone for local business and should not have received a ticket.
Well, it couldn't have been 2 minutes.
It couldn't have been 2 minutes.
Yeah, he might be
Rounds.
exaggerating the 2 minutes, right? For a second, I thought it was 2 minks.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
He owns, I did look up his business. If you look up Brian Lee and 64 Main Street, New Canaan, he owns a business on the 2nd floor, Rewind Health and Fitness. So it's a legitimate business.
Yeah,
But 2 minutes, and if she did 3 rounds.
no, remember, we're supposed to believe him. We're supposed to, I guess I would, let's just do the vote. I don't know if we're going to get much more out of conversation. All those in favor of voiding Mr. Lee's ticket? All in favor of voiding the ticket? 3. All in favor of upholding? The usual 2. Okay. He's off.
Okay.
Were there any other tickets that anyone felt on our list? I'll bring back the list. That are worthy of discussion. Anyone?
No.
Okay, then, hang on, I'm just making notes. Then I would move that for tickets number 1, Roger Ann, 2, Richard Frieda, 3, Lindsay Kruppa, 5, Matthew Longcore, 7, Ali Pugliano, all be upheld. So let's have a vote. All in favor, I'm gonna stop sharing, all in favor of holding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, unanimous. Okay,
Hi, Mr. Kid.
yeah,
So I just want to make sure, so is my ticket, I had to pay for the ticket or?
Yeah. Yes, Vicar, you have to pay for the ticket. It was upheld.
Okay, so my question is that, the person, Mr. Lee, where the ticket officer went 3 times to see if he's moving, if he's doing anything. And she gave him at least 15 minutes. If you think about 5 minutes going back and forth, 15 minutes was parked there. And he's a business owner, I understand. And I'm a Uber driver who delivers all the time. And I see.
He was in a
you-
legal space. He was in a loading zone. You were in
Still-
an illegal space. He
You're-
was in a
You're
loading
in a
zone.
spot that's never legal, Vicar. There's never a time when yours is legal.
I just think that it's not being fair then. And from now on, then I'm gonna start taking pictures of people parking illegally. And I hope that you guys take action on that, because to me, I'm being treated different than others.
No, you're treated the same. You were parked in an absolutely prohibited parking area. It's
Vicar, yours
never-
is that, I'm
So
sorry.
here's the thing.
Dangerous
Since I
situation.
got the ticket,
Okay.
and I've been
I-
in New Canaan.
Vicar, I'm gonna move you out to the waiting room because we're gonna move on. All right, so moving on. Stacy, was there anything you wanted to add before we close up?
No, I think you've covered everything. Yep.
Okay, anyone else? Pam, Laura?
Nope.
Peter?
No,
No,
Okay, Robert, anything you wanted to bring up? No? Okay, then I move we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Pam seconds. All in favor? Okay, it is 9:16. Good job, guys, and I will see you in January. Have a nice holiday season.
thanks, Keith. Bye.
Take
Thank you.
care.
thanks,
Yeah.
Keith.
Hit it. Have a good holiday. Bye.
Okay, how come I'm not? There we are.
Uh-huh. कितना बोला जाए तो रिटर्न करना है પછી I think you can return it as long as it's not open. It's open. The box is open, the plastic is not open. आई રહેશે પણ ના आई रन What's the box then? You didn't see the box before?
The most